Conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear us online?
Can hear you loud and clear.
Hi, Kevin. Welcome. All right, we'd like to start this evening with the public hearing. The Town Commission is holding our public hearing in regards to our growth policy. Previous public hearing was held by the Planning Board. I'll wait till that noise stops. And they've approved with some changes and they have their new draft. So I will open the floor to public comment on the growth policy. Kevin, do you want to say anything else?
I think the only thing that I would really like to say at this time is that you guys are very lucky to have such an amazing planning board at this moment. I know it's kind of broken up, but a large portion of this project was carried by the planning board, and they did an outstanding job. And they definitely made things a lot easier for us at Great West to help kind of facilitate the process moving forward. And I think the process has gone exactly how we would hope. So that's kind of all I have for right now.
All right. Lyndon, do you want to say anything? You were part of the first public hearing. You've been with it since its infancy.
Did it. Mainly, I just like this.
No, you're probably push the button.
I'd just like to thank some people because this has taken a little while and a fair bit of work. So going all the way back to our original planning board, because we've had some turnover over. It's been almost a little over 2 years, I think, since we started. And at the beginning, there was no planning board. You know, they're back in the day, there was a planning board, but there was a gap. So we kind of started from scratch. So the first crew that we had included Leona Stredwick, Craig Abernathy, and Mark Sixel. And they all made significant contributions early on in the process. Dave Berriman has been with us the entire time. I think he and I are the two that have been there the whole time. Recently, we had Corey Hardy and Susie Sprout join, and they've both made some good contributions here towards the end. Probably most significant in terms of contribution was Whit Neal. He did a ton of work, just an amazing volunteer, conscientious. He followed through on everything, just rolled up his sleeves. He was our MVP. And I'd also like to thank the mayor who really got this process started. It's been a long time since the town has had a growth policy update. I think it was 2014, so it was well overdue. They're supposed to be updated about every 5 years. So clearly we were overdue there. This was, an important thing for the town. I'd also like to thank Ginger Gwynn, who helped us with getting the grant. There was a Montana Community Reinvestment Grant that really made this possible, and Ginger helped get that grant through. And then Brenna has helped with the ongoing maintenance of that grant. And then I'd like to thank over 300 people in town and around town who contributed in terms of the outreach. And we did a number of attempts at outreach with questionnaires, and over 300 people responded. That was a significant response from the community to contribute to this effort. So overall, it was a great process. A lot of people put in time and effort, and we're pretty happy with the result. So that's, I can be available to answer any questions, but that's really what I wanted to do here, is just thank all the people who put in all that time and effort.
Does anybody have any questions for either Kevin or Lyndon as they've been through the whole part of it?
I just wondered, hi Karen, catch you. I just wondered if after tonight, the document will be on the town website?
It's in its draft form and it is there. There's a link to it.
Okay. Me neither. We couldn't, and I called Brennan, we couldn't get there. So I just want to make sure that that will be available and accessible to the public.
Okay.
It has been up.
It has been, I think the last meeting, you took it down because of the feedback from public hearing, and it's never been back up.
It's not last meeting.
If I sent you a link and under the ArcGIS, you can follow it and then you can click on it for the full document. I did it right. I did it right before the meeting. I sent you the link and followed it. But we can put it in another spot to make it more accessible. Are there any other comments on the document itself? If anybody feels the need to sign in for the public hearing part, that would be great too, to say that we actually had people that could be here to choose to make comment on it. So this is an important 10-year document. This will help shape possible zoning and subdivision changes. All right, second call for public comment for our public hearing. Last call for public comment. All right, seeing no other public comment, I will close the public hearing portion. Thank you again, Kevin, for all your work on this. I'm very pleased with the final product. I think the planning board did an immense undertaking, and with the amount of people that they received, it feels like a complete enough document that we're not working in a vacuum.
Mhm.
So.
I agree, and I appreciate you guys wanting to work with us at Great West. I think the document as a whole, I think, is going to make the town very competitive for future grants, and that was kind of one of the main goals of getting this thing updated. Is we identified all those good actions, and now the town can go ahead and start implementing those action items and look to the future for future growth.
All right, thank you. All right, now we can start with our regular meeting with roll call of council. Commissioner Sally?
Here.
Commissioner Way?
Here.
Commissioner Ranson?
Here.
Commissioner Abernathy is absent, and Commissioner Hardy.
Here.
All right, if we could all please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, approval of the November 13th meeting minutes.
I move to approve. Second.
Any additions or corrections? Calling the vote. Sally?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of the November 20th meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Additions or corrections? Way?
Yeah, yes. Aye.
All right. Department reports. Karen?
Evening. Very short report tonight. We're rounding out 2025. We have one community program left, and then come the holidays, I just finished our year-end stats. I will present that next month. We are close to where we were last year, so everything's pretty stable. We are working on some programming for the winter, both adults and for kids. We, let's see, what else is going on? The stroll, we had a great time at the stroll. We had our counter showed 850 people in the door for the evening, so that was super fun. I think it was, yeah, it was good. It wasn't, it was just steady over the whole night, which was nice. It's a lot easier to manage. Yeah, it was nice to see everyone that showed up. Any questions for me tonight?
Heating and is all better.
I think so. I think we're, yeah, just needs a little TLC, a lot of TLC, but we're good.
It says
Yeah.
here you have a broken pressure gauge on your.
Yep, the parts are ordered.
Okay.
Tri-State Electric Mechanical is now servicing our,
They worked on town pump. They're cool.
yeah,
Good company.
yes,
Yes.
they're very responsive.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to have them. Yeah, they just found some simple things that'll hope will help us out. Yeah, the gauges are ordered. I think we're good to go. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Eric.
Hey guys, how's it going? Not a whole lot more to add what's on my report. I will say super proud of the guys today. We caught probably the biggest sewer backup just in time hours ago. It was amazing. Just doing their job, weekly checks. I just want to know those guys are out there doing a good job. And then I got this to say. So I'm going to bring up the lagoon and my plans on getting alarms out at our lagoon and the North 40 with what's going on out at the well houses and our SCADA system getting upgraded. We have a really good opportunity to at our lagoon get alarms, which we don't have. No alarms.
There's no alarms there?
We have a power alarm.
Okay.
I don't have an alarm if our wet well.
The IT
pumps.
report is confusing and I thought it said alarms went off at different places. So I was
Power,
just confused.
yeah.
That-
Power.
Is that like just open the
Power door
door?
sensors. You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
like real alarms for
so-
sensors.
Real ones. So
Okay.
if our wet wells, and this goes for the North 40 also, we just don't have any alarms for them. Everything out there was put in and never used. And so with all the added people out there, it's time to get this alarm out there. If our wet well just stops, our pump stop, I mean, it's just going to be a mess. So my intention is to, with MET, get our sewer system added on to the SCADA system. It would be all in one central location with remote access for them for IT technical work. It is a heavy cost.
Is there grants for this stuff or no?
Not, I
Not-
wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. It is a
Have you
pretty heavy
consulted with
cost.
Great West over this? It makes sense while we're doing it, not to just do it.
Well, yeah, it's the perfect time to add this in at our lagoon. And I would say it's probably time for some kind of upgrades out there. And this would be the best place to start.
So it's not in the budget though.
Nope. This would be something we'd have to adopt, do a budget amendment. We would have to bid out, which would kind of be tough, but not really because it's MET. That's who we've always been, always used. That's who we're using
For
their-
that stuff.
But I just want to bring that to you, let you know, and you're going to see it's a heavy price tag, but I mean, in the long run, if we're on top of it, it's,
Do you think you'll have those bids by the next meeting?
Or
I have them now.
Oh, you do?
I have what it would cost to have this done. It's 148.
We still have to put it out to bid though, right?
We would have to put that out to bid. It's 148.
Is the estimate they gave you or whatever, but we have to put it out to bid. Is there a bunch of other companies that do this?
Yeah.
There are. So
So
what
having
happens?
your sewer and water on one SCADA system is not uncommon. Actually, it's a, it takes a lot of, right now there's a lot of different kinds of parts in our system. You got this for that, this for that. It's a jumbled kind of a mess. This will lump it into one central.
Which makes sense. If we put it out to bid in a different company bids though, Lois, there's no way around it.
They don't have the programming we're going with out of it.
Okay.
That's MET, and they're the ones since the SCADA they've installed the original.
So this is maybe just something for the January meeting.
Yeah, but I'm giving you a jump on it. I just want you to know, I'm going to email all of you all the information that Pete and I have put together. Pete is the guy down at MET. We got a nice little, just to show you what it'll all entail. I'm just kind of giving you a heads up and my intentions on that.
In our last meeting with the engineers, we also had them put it on their radar that in an updated PER, so we don't have to go through the whole thing again. To put it on the radar for even in the water system, that there's going to have to be some system updates in there as well.
So yeah, with the wells going in, we have to upgrade the system we have because it's that
The
old.
new equipment's not.
I was told parts for what we have would come off of eBay. That just, unfortunately, man, it's amazing how quick that stuff gets outaged.
They don't make stuff like these.
Well, and it works 24 hours a day too, so there's that.
So is this going to still require a public works individual to go out to the lagoon?
That'll never happen. I mean, I'll never quit that. Every building, every day will be visited every morning. That's not, this will just give us, and to be honest with you, we don't have any alarms out at our lagoon. If those pumps, neither one of them quit working, all we have is the power alarm, which, we generally go out there right then too, but if our wet well quit working, one of our pumps locked up, or a huge 10-foot log of rags clogs our pumps. This, and then it just keeps coming in. It'll just start going everywhere.
And I'm assuming most towns already are like this.
Well,
or is this newer that they're?
This ain't newer. I will say this, as far as small towns, we are pretty fortunate to even have a SCADA. So there's that.
Okay.
They're a great piece of information, hours, all of it. And this would just help us, just get it all in one centralized location, one call out box, one for everything. We have gotten rid of, I did have John put new sensors in out at the lagoon just to get rid of the subscription based service we were using. So those are out there. It wasn't even that expensive. I think $200 a room. But all of this stuff can be added onto the system in one bill, one box. So I'm gonna email you as much information I can about this. Please look it over. Tell me what you think. But I would love it on January's for approval. If that's. But this would be the time to do it. It would be roughly, I mean, he gave me a number, but I don't even want to say it, but it'd be a lot cheaper if we just did it now while these upgrades were going on with the new well coming in.
Anything else? All right, Susie, you're up.
So you have my written reports. I did get a zone site permit today. It's in the North 40 for a single family dwelling. It's not on there. Other than that, some fences, one addition. The Beeland Minor subdivision was completed and approved by Cody Markser per our interlocal agreement with the county. And that's actually the lot that's, I don't know, it's the lot that's just north of where Madison Valley Waste, we just approved that
Roy
one.
Lance's own plot.
Yes. And all he did was divide that big long one into two lots.
How can they though? Because, and that's all those on that. It's, the entrance is supposed to be for Madison, that road,
Tower.
Bauer. Wasn't a road.
They're supposed to be on Bauer.
So there's a road access easement to those lots. It's not.
Now that they're split, but originally,
No, so on the,
So that Bauer Lane actually is their property. Most of it goes on the west side. Their
Okay.
property goes to the west side of Bauer Lane.
Okay.
And each property owner has given it, they're supposed to be responsible for the maintenance.
for
of it.
Bauer, okay.
yeah, so it's a road access easement. It's not a city street, but there's legal access.
Eric and I are attending a meeting at the school tomorrow, the school or library, I haven't heard which one. They have questions. They own 50 acres north of us. It's where this bus barn is, the baseball field. The community center is wanting to build out there, so they're just looking at some possibilities, possibly annexing in. I think just trying to make it easier. We don't really know exactly what. There is county going to be there. I know Eric and I think Mr. Todd, and I don't know who else, the community center people and school people. So we'll have more to say on it next meeting. Pretty much, I think we're at like 132 for citations for courts. I'm working on year end, so I'll have those for us at the next meeting. Do you have any questions?
Is the hospital still planning to go out there too?
I have not heard anything.
Remember that tomorrow if it comes up, because that would be easier to annex.
The hospital, they would still, when we went to the meeting, when Nikki and I went over and visited with them a while back, they would like to. They
So
were
if we
hoping that
run
in 5 years.
Water and sewer out there, we should
But,
probably just do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from the hospital. So. Anything else?
Ginger. You're like. Any questions? You have my written.
Can I ask you the same thing I asked you the last couple months?
No, still not.
Are we ever going to get resolution on that?
I'm not sure, John.
It's the
Compensated absences.
compensated absences.
Yeah. I mean,
trend for the last couple of years.
yeah, I mean, I can even, well, I showed you the reports. When I go back and do a prior year, it adds in
The new people.
the new people.
Is it something you don't foresee that we can ever get to the bottom of, or?
Well, Black Mountain is stumped on that one.
just wanting a
But-
total of each person at the end of the year.
Yeah, for the.
Yeah,
last-
I mean,
we-
and that's,
But we want it trended, like when we did budget, it always showed the previous year. But
but if nothing paid out in it, it didn't show any figures. So if nobody left the employment, it only showed if it was paid out.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, I'll see if I can. I'm pretty heavy into the year-end stuff.
Mhm.
But if I can pull it off, I'll look at just individuals.
Okay, I mean, even like written on a bar napkin would probably work.
What,
You know?
you think? No.
Yeah, just something.
Who do you work with the Department of Commerce?
for which thing?
Department of Commerce or Department of Administration?
I think you had in there, with State Department of Commerce and Great West Engineering on Barco.
Yeah, and most of the commerce work was tied in with Great West. So I was sending information, so I really don't have a point of contact.
Okay.
Not with the ARPA, with all of our other grants, we have designated grant administrators, basically, grant. On the department side, when FSEP comes out, they have it divided into, there's the 30 of us that got projects approved. There's, I think, 8 at that office that are just in MSEP and they're going through that. So we're assigned a person for contact for each one. And that's shifted 2 or 3 times for one that we're closing out for the growth policy. We have one separate for MSEP and DNRC.
Brenda, do you have any?
Not unless you have any questions.
Can you elaborate on the Three Forks? You said they had a new resolution for collections.
Sorry. So they just passed a new resolution regarding tenants with past bills, that they're going to be notifying the property owners for past bills. And then from here on out, will it be January, from January on out, they will no longer allow any tenants on the portion of the bill. You can still receive a bill to see how much water you're using, so on and so forth. But it's always the property owner's responsibility to pay the bill. So Three Forks has that. Great Falls requires the property owners to immediately pay for 2 months of unpaid charges, kind of same thing. They get notified of a letter if tenants aren't paying. And I looked into it because we've had a lot of tenants leave kind of high and dry, and then I have to notify the property owner because it is in our code that it's their responsibility. But there's a lot more. There's Bozeman that do it. Let's see, and Butte as well. So I just looked into all the other ones and how they go about it. There's a lot of them that on the actual sign up for water and utility purposes, they lay it out there. If you do not pay, we will be contacting you as the property owner. You are solely reliable of it. And a lot of them now don't even have the renters on the bill. So that's what it was.
Is there, so ultimately, like a tenant moves in, they put it in their name, but it's ultimately still the property owner that's responsible for that. Is there like some sort of alarm system if somebody's falling behind?
I mean, we always have reports that we pull from Black Mountain. So there's, you can do from 30 days to 120 days late pay on your water bill. And usually if it's around 60 days, I could get in the habit of just letting the property owner know, especially if they've moved out. If I can't get a hold of them, I've tried multiple times. I just let them know of the town code and they're responsible for it. But I think it would help if we only had them. There's a customer portion And that customer portion in Black Mountain will obviously tell you who the renter is, but it won't show up on the bill. So that's one, I think Great Falls does that. They don't have it on the bill, but you can still see who is renting there, but they don't have any say of where the bill goes. You can still get an email bill just to see how much you used or how much it was cost wise, but
Do they do this both for residential and commercial?
I don't know that question right off the top of my head. For as much as I saw, it was mostly residential that I could think of, but I could definitely get back to you on that if you wanted to know. Any other questions?
Do we charge interest for, or late charges for late fees?
Yeah, so every time that you're late, there's a flat rate on water of $10 and then 2% of the past due. That's 30 days late.
And, other question, so when you said you were reviewing short-term rental postings, is that just to make sure that they're
Yep.
Licensed?
Yeah, I always go in and just double check on Airbnb, VRBO are the two that I mainly just go on, just see if there's any new ones out there. They've updated or anything like that. There's a couple of them on there that will still be on there, but they say they're not doing it anymore. So there's kind of those little things that I just look at and just keep track of.
For business licenses?
Yes, correct. Yes. Anyone else?
Thank you, Brenda. You up? Yes. Got it.
Hello, I'm Duncan Spillett today. My name's Braden. So reviewing for November's call for services, we have a total record of 122 within just city limits here. We are like the major ones to go over, or ever just read line for line. Because
They just gave us the total last time, and then we asked if we could have kind of a cheat sheet so that we knew what all the abbreviations meant or something like that for next time. And I reminded Duncan on an email. Hopefully I got that. Our report got a little late. There was a miscommunication between Christine and email. She sent it to ginger@ennismontana.org. And so I double checked it today to see where it was. And she's like, I sent it. Lost it. No, the Ginger G, the one little letter. So that's all the kinks are getting worked out slowly but surely.
yeah, so for at least December, I know we have 122 total records here. I know a lot of us, like myself, who mainly work patrol, we're logging in time in city limits, not just for Ennis, but all incorporated ones now. So the logging time that we're here. Doesn't give me end times, but I do know at least on some of us when we're here working on a lot of our casework and stuff as well. That's a big priority for us to make sure we're logging time while we're in city limits here as well for that in terms of like follow up and just working on a lot of cases for our vehicles. I'm trying to see here. And quite a few traffic stops as well that we've been citing in the Ennis City Court when they're connected to city limits here. I don't have I only have November's month's numbers.
Yeah.
You guys do this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the number one thing I can see off the calls here, a lot of traffic stops that have been conducted. We've had a couple ambulance medical calls as well throughout the month. One of the random ones that pop up here on November 6th at around 1 a.m. we had a suspicious person report. That was near Town Pump for the location. I don't have the outcome of that one, though, unfortunately, on this list here. But I do believe I can provide this list to you guys. That would be helpful.
Yeah, John used to send something like that. The calls, kind of what they were, closed, open.
Mm-hmm. But it's not closed open like the status of it where it was. It was just he would do, and by there you can still do the same thing. It was a kind of shortened versions of night versus day calls and what the outcome was, closed, open, or not disclosed for,
Yes,
for a
this week,
reason.
just 122 at least calls for service, both reactive and proactive from us at least. And then these are not including the ones that are just outside city limits as well, but I do those quite a few more just outside city limits too.
That report includes ambulance transport, correct?
I believe so, yes.
So it's not really 122 calls for service from Madison County Sheriff's Office when it's an ambulance transport from 305 North Main to Bozeman Deaconess. I noticed that on last month's.
Okay.
On last month's as well. There was 177 calls total is what it stated, but there was less than that when you actually take out the fact that ones that originate from 305 North Main as ambulance transport are truly transports probably from Madison Valley Medical Center to another facility.
So there'd be 7 on this one, so it'd be 115.
Yep.
That's correct there.
And then I don't know if you respond on fire alarms. There was fire alarm last month. Which medical ones are you respond to as well? I know there's lift assist and everything else that you guys have been called.
I know some of us do go to some of them. I wish I had more info on this one. I do know some of the medical ones we at least are there to assist. I just don't know which of these calls we were there on.
Yeah. So we'll work on probably some fine tuning would be good on that report so that you're more accurate in your comparison of previous years to see if we are really truly trending. But as it is, the numbers at first glance look huge, but we kind of have to filter through which ones. Like those few, it's 7. It's not the determining factor on it, but they're there. There was a lot more in the last month's report for ambulance transports.
Do you guys have MOUs signed with all the other incorporated towns?
I do not know. I can take the question down and pass it on to Duncan. Sure. And so that you asked that, but I unfortunately don't have that.
To my knowledge, Twin Bridges, yes. Virginia City and Sheridan, no.
I know summertime was probably pretty busy. I don't have those reports during summer, but even in the off season now, it seems to be still pretty steady. So.
Slow down.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You don't have to hang out. We let you
Yeah.
We know you have stuff to do.
Well, I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I'll pass that question on to Duncan and I'll have to reach out to you guys.
All right,
Awesome.
perfect.
Thank you all.
Claims.
Move to approve claims.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Anything from the room? All right, Chrissy, you be up.
Aye.
All right. Public comment on non-agenda items. Second call for public comment on non-agenda items. Last call for public comment on non-agenda items. All right, resolution 617, 2025 is a resolution of intent to adopt the growth policy. It is not a resolution that officially adopts the, I know, but if you read it next month, you'll have to officially adopt the policy. This
So we
is-
have to adopt it and officially adopt it?
No, intent. This is our
Oh,
intent
okay.
that we are going to. We still allow for a grace period of public comment, even after our public hearing. So now we're allowing another 30 days since it's a master document for us to go, hey, last chance. I mean, it's a big document. It affects pretty much, it's
All
one
right.
of our strategic planning documents. So we want you to have every opportunity to participate. So nobody can say you weren't given the chance, I didn't see it. If there's anything wrong with it. The final
Well,
document
It's online. It's on.
and the, yes,
No,
well, at the,
I mean, not today.
at the, at the growth, at the planning board, thank you, planning board meetings, yes. Mhm. So you can choose to do that at the next one if you want for final adoption. So this is just the intent to adopt, allowing for another 30 days of comment.
Intend
Mhm.
intend to adopt it. I
Mhm.
don't remember doing.
So we need a motion. I'll move to have intent to adopt the growth policy.
All right.
Second. It just sounds weird. I'm sorry.
So, and that still gives you another 30 days before your next meeting, if you want to hold another special meeting to go through it individually. Again, I think the response was great from the community.
Yeah, I think,
Well thought out document.
we are, I think we're, like way ahead of schedule on this, actually. Is that true, Lyndon?
Relative to when we started,
Well, the proposed date for completion of this, I feel like was even.
I think we're on track.
Okay.
You know, like I said earlier, Whit did a pretty amazing job. One of the things he did was he laid out a pretty comprehensive schedule. And we are pretty close to when we got to that point, which is probably about a year ago. We were able to hire a consultant to really dig in. So yeah, we're on track with that.
And we're on track with what we submitted with Department of Commerce for our initial timeline. We had to change it once. But we updated with them and said, hey, I think we're going to take an extra 3 months. So we're still within our grant specs.
And tonight was the second hearing?
Mhm.
Because I think I missed the first. That's before.
First was held by the planning board.
Kind of, okay, that's what I was.
Any other discussion? Any comment from the public? All right, calling the vote then, and I think we are at,
I,
all right. So we had talked about properties and we weren't sure which ones received utilities and weren't actually part of town. So Susie helped put together this list. So that is for your future knowledge of what has water or sewer without being annexed into the town, essentially.
What's the plan on this? Did somebody ask for this? I guess.
We weren't sure how many there were. There was numbers thrown around of 13, 12. There was no official. How many are there? Where are they? So before water rates are adjusted or the process has gone through, that would be the adjustment or what action the commission wishes to take regarding those properties. But you wanted the list, here's the list.
so, ultimately, they're not within city limits, so we're wanting to think we would want to incentivize these entities to annex into the town. So, one recommendation that I heard was actually increasing, the amount that these individuals pay for service, because they're not part of the town.
There's several towns that do that.
May I just bring something to think about it concerning that? There's one line in town that was originally installed as a service line. throughout, I don't know how many years, 5 or 6 other people have latched onto this service line.
Did they pay?
If we annex them in, we will instantly have to put in a new water main. Any more than 2 people on a line, it's considered a water main, and that's a long ride. I'll say that. It's half the time.
I think you have to create a plan.
Yeah,
And a
at some
district.
point we have to clean up this.
Well, I mean, for that, it's like, when he's talking about mainline, we experienced extra expense when we had our break at the park, if you remember, because we basically had to call our engineers in at the last second because it became a water main at that point because there was more than 2 service lines connected to it. So DEQ required us at that moment to actually have an engineer say, yes, this is the plan, this is the line, here's our thing, and go for it.
And it got more expensive because of the fuel too. We had to use cast iron pipe.
Yep.
Really shot the price up.
But that was one of the factors that came in at the last second was, nope, there's more than 2 on there. So when this is done, I just say, make a plan. What's the cost going to be and over what timeline is it implemented? And can you create a district to do so or something? If you need to.
So I'm assuming all these people pay, D&D, for example, pays a water bill monthly.
Correct.
Yeah, everybody who has a service. So that's the line I'm talking about.
So you're saying that if we go to look at it, then there's too many already on it that we're gonna have to turn it into a water main?
Exactly.
Okay, so why are we letting this stuff happen? At some point, we're gonna have to clean up the messes we made. Or it's not your fault. And I know
Understood.
that.
And it definitely needs cleaned up. I agree.
And it's gonna be.
I want you guys to know that that's there. And it's going to be a thing.
Which we're gonna have to eat the cost, because we're gonna have to then put in
No.
the water main.
Yep.
So I'm confused.
Yeah.
So because there's 2 or more people on that line, it's considered a water main now, right?
But it's not a water main.
It's a
But it's
service
not a
line.
water main until
It's
we
a
dig it up
service
and have
line.
to replace it.
John, it's actually a service line. They have put in that throughout the years. 1, 2, 4, 5 houses have latched onto.
Uh-huh.
And all I think basically it turned out to is the same guy owned most of them at the time. But that's something when this goes on that we need to keep in mind. That's all I'm saying. And I don't, with water, you're gonna have to bring sewer too, sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, no, my question is just like.
but we did water with no sewer.
Which,
So when Missoula, when they annexed and some people.
Will you go to the mic so or you can have mine, so we can have a conversation.
So I guess it's the question of when you annex a property, so the city of Missoula has annexed in several times and they've been to the Supreme Court about 5 times in regards to annexing in and providing service. What the determination has been from the conversation I had with the city of Missoula attorney was that, and what the Montana Supreme Court said is that you don't have to provide service, you have to provide a plan for service. And so that plan very well could be, hey, we're going to create a special improvement district within X amount of years, and then that line will be engineered as a main line. So it is, I think we need to look into it. It's not,
There are several other people down there interested in this.
yeah.
So
So it might
If
be,
we did it all at once, would it be
So-
cheaper and easier for everybody?
yeah, so it might be something
But
to do.
it's not something we can make them do.
Yes.
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 But
So
it's
our
very
current code already says if you are hooked up to water, you need to be a town of Ennis, annexed into the town of Ennis. These are probably handshake deals that have happened over the past,
Previous
whatever.
commissioners, too.
Yeah, over the past 40 years. I mean, when was the last house really who knows when it was actually done. So I think you're right. We, at some point, have to start cleaning up the mess, and whether that means creating a special improvement district or what that is, because there's that young couple that, or they had a sewer issue more than a water issue, but
It would have been nice to help them out too.
yeah,
And it would have been great. Would have actually helped us out.
yeah,
They annexed it.
yep,
But the cost for them to do it would have been astronomical.
Crazy,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So there's, yeah,
So it's definitely something we need to make a plan on. and work on.
yeah,
For sure.
absolutely.
It definitely needs to clean up. That whole corner, giant mess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was brought up several years ago from the county, is that it was supposed to be annexed in, but the meets and bounds survey never closed. So I bet we can partner with the county on that and come to a resolution on those types of things. So,
This with the water and sewer bill.
But none of them probably want to annex, because once they annex, then they have to pay city taxes.
So, and it's your water bill, sewer bill. So that's something they don't have.
But they're already getting a water bill.
There are, I would say it's, talked to it now, but I would say it's probably 50-50.
So if they're not getting a water bill, they must have a well there
Yes.
and a drain field, like, little lot. That sounds fun.
and the people that don't,
Well-
the people don't have to go to septic, all right there too. So that's a big help.
All right, so there's the list. It's in the drive, so you know how to reference the list.
Thank you. Susie?
All right, at the end of every couple of years, we do our appointments to the Conservation District. This first appointment of Jake Stewart is renewing his period here at the Madison Conservation District. He served before.
Ready, motion. Move to approve Jake Stewart for the time period of 1/26 to 12/28 for Madison Conservation District.
Any discussion? This is
He's a local.
the members of the board at the Conservation District also voted and have approved these members as well. Colin wasn't able to make it tonight, but he's the one that sent me the request. And then, was there a second?
She's
Oh, second. Sorry, okay. Any public comment? All right, calling the vote then.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then the second person is for the same time period, and that is John Napton.
I move to appoint John Knapp.
I'll second that.
Any public comment? All right, calling the vote. Way.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, resolution 618, 2025 is a resolution to appoint by acclamation Lisa Roberts as mayor, John Way and Nicole Hankins as full-term commission seats, and Mitch Abernethy to unexpired town commission seat. So.
I'll move to approve for discussion's sake.
Yeah, and then I'll give you the background. So we've done this before, and it was actually called a resolution canceling the general election. So it's normally done on a different timeline, but there was a little bit of error at the county level. So normally that is the responsibility of the election administrator, Paula, to, as soon as the write-in time period is filed, to tell the towns that general elections can then be canceled. And she usually preps the resolution and everything for us. And so she sends things saying, you can just go ahead and appoint by acclamation. And I went and pulled the other resolution going, oh, I'll just change the dates. And that's when we realized it was actually to cancel the general election. So I called Paula. She's like, sorry. It doesn't change anything in Montana code. It says if the general election's canceled, you can appoint, but it's still how you do it. So Paula said, sorry. She normally is very on top of it, and it's still okay to do it this way. So I prepped the resolution a little bit different than it normally is. So there's a motion to second. Public comment. All right. No, there's nobody online, so. Any discussion? That's that. Where are we at?
All right.
All right. Motion carries. So, with that, I'm enacting 1-7-7, 15 of the town code, which gives me veto power of a resolution. So with that, it says that I have until the next meeting to give the reasons for why I veto a resolution. And knowing that I will not be here tomorrow at the next meeting, I will give those reasons to you now and how I think it can be resolved at tonight's meeting for a better outcome for the town long term. Okay. So during my 4 years of participation in local government, there have been multiple violations of both Montana state law and Ennis Town Code by 2 of the members that are to be appointed. Mitch did not have any violations. Unfortunately, John Way and Nicole Hankins both had notable violations of public meeting law and violations of the prohibitions of the charter. So I have noted exactly when, on September 22nd, 2023, there was ongoing rolling emails between commission members started by Nicole Hankins. And again, on October 6th, there had been training done. They should have been aware of these rolling meetings not being legal because it violates the public's right to know and participate. And then again, the same violation style was done with the public's right to know and participate being violated on September 26th of 2024 and September 8th of 2025 by Commissioner Way. And in the September 26th email chain involving the violation and also of the public meeting law, there was also violation of the prohibition of the town charter, where it says that you can't, that a commissioner does not direct staff, and staff was directed directly through an email, not a town email, but in fact a business email from Commissioner Way. And then again, that same violation was committed on September 4th of 2025 when John Way instructed Deputy Clerk Brenna Bench to add items to the drive. So the reason there is just one person is because you can't have 6 bosses. So that's why I'm supposed to be in charge of that. In the September 8th email chain, it was also released on Facebook mysteriously. And in that, it is public record. I have no problem with things ending up on Facebook, but when we do a public records request, we also try and remove any personal information. And because of that action, Mr. Nihon received what I felt to be undue harassment on his personal cell phone, and he was just thankful that it wasn't a landline in which his wife had to, or his family had to deal with that harassment. So these are some of the instances that I am aware of quorum violations. If I'm not included in the email, I cannot comment that there's a quorum and that it should cease. It is not solely the responsibility of the mayor to intervene, as all of you are on the chain, and you are all aware that 5 of you or 3 of you makes a quorum, and therefore discussion should not be had between you. So in the future, it's not the mayor's job to be your mom or dad, whoever's sitting in this seat, but for yourselves to hold each other accountable. Like, hey, I get that we want to have this discussion. Let's make it a meeting point at the next meeting. And then the last one is a violation that's happened multiple times in the room, and that is the employees actually have a right to privacy under Montana Code 23203. Therefore, comments made during the public meeting about employees violates their rights. And when you do, you open the town to undue liability. which in turn jeopardizes the town and its residents. So my corrective action that is recommended is specific training on the basic principles of the privacy rights of employees. It's a very unique situation where it's almost a business and it's not, but specific training either from Ed or from MMIA on those roles and responsibilities. Also meeting law training. Commissioners have been supplied with PowerPoint presentations and written reminders, but perhaps in-person training would be more beneficial. And we moved 5,000 from economic development specifically into the training budget. And I hope that to resolve this, the commission would vote to, at the next meeting, have a discussion and create a training schedule in which you will attend and hold each other accountable for these things. Nobody is a god. Nobody is infallible in what they do, but one person being held to one standard and that the only person being held to that standard isn't what's going to make this commission work well in the future, and it's not what's going to instill trust in the people later. So
I'm guilty of the same thing. I emailed Ginger from my personal.
it's
I didn't even know it was,
questions.
I just didn't.
To
have
ask
time.
questions is one thing, but that's where I think
Okay.
we've put ample money in there. So, and it's not an easy road to navigate for sure, but that would be my way of resolving what I see to be an ongoing issue.
So what does this mean if you veto the resolution?
You can override a veto with 2/3 plus, with
Give-
majority plus
give-
one.
Somebody, Mayor, can you scan that in so that I can read it again, maybe? Because
Yes.
it's hard to, I don't think I grasped all of it. But.
That is the in a nutshell. So you can overturn my veto by vote, which I entirely anticipate because you don't have a governing body if you don't.
So you just did a veto.
And now you can have a motion to overturn it and adopt the resolution.
I guess I'll make a motion to overturn veto.
Second.
Public comment?
Sheena Meyer. I don't know about everybody else in this room, but hearing all that read off and looking at some of the faces and watching smirks and not even feeling at all guilty about anything you violated is a little concerning. Meaning you didn't even take into account of what was just accused of you and proven. And you don't even feel bad that you're breaking stuff, even though all along the way you tried to unseat people from their positions, whether it be in this room or other members of this town. And there's no guilt, and you guys will just go through and appoint one another because you're just one little unit. It's not how a governing body's supposed to act. You're supposed to be individuals, and you are supposed to hold each other accountable. And you guys should want the right things done, and not just because, oh, well, we can overturn it, and you can. But you guys should think through what was just said. Think through all the things that were just violated, and honestly take it to heart. It matters for your community. It matters for your town. It matters that people are held accountable. It matters that you guys hold each other to those standards and you care when they're violated. Not just rules for me, not, rules for thee, not for me. You guys really have to take that into consideration and think about, were these bad enough violations? What are you going to do with the future violations? How are you going to prevent the violations? The people that wrong did it, do they even feel bad about what they did? Or is it kind of like, and I'll keep doing it? Because the faces, some of the expressions say, we'll do it again. I think I think everybody should really take into consideration what that means. And it should matter to everybody. And you should take a minute and chew on that.
My name is Lisa Roberts, for the record. I will be honored to serve with the next town commission as it is appointed. We throw around, oh, this town code, that town code. We all have work to do. No one is perfect. I will say that. And I don't think those examples given were in, you know, can you do this? Can you do it? Requests are fine. And Commissioner John Bancroft said it very eloquently for the number of years that he sat on the commission. When I started, he said it in town meetings several times. And he's like, Lisa, they treat us like mushrooms. They keep us in the dark and they don't tell us shit. And what I've learned over the time that I have served is that there is a considerable communication breakdown. You want to talk about accountability? There are, not only with the commission, there are departments in this town that there is no accountability. And I think the motivations from the commissioners on those specific actions is because there is no accountability. And in the term when issues were, and the mayor is the only person that can hire, fire, disciplinary action. And when you see time and time again things not being held accountable, then at what point do you say, hey, can I get this? Hey, can I get that done? So transparency, I think, in my role is one that I would like to tackle, and getting communication better so we can work together as a unit so those things can be clearly defined. I know that these commissioners, we can certainly take time to schedule trainings with the Montana Local Government Center and make sure that everyone is following the rules as laid out. So with that being said, I will echo my first sentiments that I believe that everyone that put in did so because no one else did. A lot of people say, oh, the town should do this, the town should do that, but very few step into the arena to do so. So I commend the people that put their name in. Can we all improve? Absolutely. I'm open to trainings, to making us the best that we can be for our community, because I know that's what we all want. And that's why you're sitting in those seats and why you put your name in to do it again. So thank you for that.
Last call for public comment. Oh, one more.
My name's Carrie Walter. This first meeting I have been to and attended. I'm actually from Sheridan, but we came over to just watch the processions. I have seen other times when commissions like this or community councils have actually been sued over the minorest of offenses. And people were sued personally because they didn't have directors and officers insurance. So I just want to make sure that you guys, I don't know if you guys have directors and officers insurance or not, but if you don't, you could be sued personally if for even the minorest of offenses. You guys know the signs and the seasons we're living in. People are sue happy. And I think that caution needs to be considered in this matter. Thank you.
Does the commission receive the emails from webinars and stuff for the new
Yes. They are all signed up for the league. You aren't because you're new. So
And I have to reapply. I went to.
last call, last call for public comment on resolution 618 veto overturn. All right. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd make a comment. So yeah, I think that is like that accountability is one of the biggest ingredients missing in America, and I think it's super important to have it as an ingredient for all of us in this position, and members of the community. But yeah, I definitely, I guess I've been on the council for 6 years now, and I've learned an insane amount. I know I don't like, to your comment on like being sued. I don't like functioning in fear. But I do think, being continuing education with all of us is a really good thing. You know, our school actually offers continuing education classes, which I readily pass on to all my employees, and I'm like, we never stop learning. So, but ultimately, the biggest ingredient for a council, for a mayor, for everybody here is that we're all well-intended individuals. And we have the best interest of the town in mind, um, and all of our neighbors. So yeah, ultimately, absolutely think we need to do as much training as possible. I love attending trainings. I want Forrest, our on-call planner, to come here. I want Dan.
Dan's retiring.
Dan Clark?
Yes.
Oh,
Ashley's amazing too.
I was gonna say, I think I met her. There was some rock star will take over.
So, but Forrest is fantastic as far as trainings are concerned. I love that guy. He's a Montana State Senator, and he's our on-call planner, and he is very passionate about government. So that's all I have.
Any other discussion? Then I'm calling the vote.
I think you're right.
I think I am too.
Aye.
All right. Carries. Commission reports. Sally.
I was looking over there to see who was fixing to talk. I didn't write down anything because I was busy today before I got here. I guess the biggest thing that's happened besides attending the Christmas stroll and getting out there and participating with local merchants, I've tried to speak to a few of the merchants and see how is things going with them with the chamber, encouraging them to speak to the chamber, to voice their opinion. That we're having somebody from the chamber come and speak to us now, and with Stephanie helping us along with that. I've sat and talked to Lisa, to look at what her plans were and to see what was going on for the city and what we're looking at in our projections to the future. I had attended the league, and then we've just started another rural Montana class with MSU. And I was asked, I told you last time I was here, that I was asked about sitting on the board for the Montana rural housing and or the Madison County Rural Housing or Housing Authority. And I wasn't sure about that. They met with me for coffee and we talked about it and I thought about it.
I was asked by the county commissioners if I would continue to serve on my position, here. Mine will be up, so it'll be an option of that. They said that it would be, I wrote a letter, sent it to all of you guys earlier. I don't know if you got to see it yet, but they said it would be nice to have someone that's involved with the city government, was their words, that was on the board, because they actually do try to stagger it out for people all over. I know last year they were trying to get somebody in Sheridan because of that. And then working with the rural housing, they're doing some stuff in Sheridan and Twin Bridges, and they've been looking at some more land over here. And I think that's kind of about it for now. So I have made my decision that if it comes to be and my position is available, that I feel like I've learned a lot, like Corey was saying. I mean, it takes you 6 months just to get your feet wet, to kind of know what's going on. By the time you take a year, so we've got all these projects in that are going on, everything from the water to looking at different areas, whether it's into our resort area that we're going into, looking at zoning in the city, looking at water and works and stuff like that. And I just feel like maybe that, the knowledge I already got would help me on to finishing this up. So that's where I'm standing at right now.
I'm really concerned about the stuff going on in Virginia City, the renewal of the leases and how that could affect Ennis. If you look at tourism data, why people come to this valley, and it's a mix between Yellowstone and Virginia City, and we sit kind of right in between the two, and that's what makes Ennis really great. And so a decrease in quality or quantity in either one of those attractions would be a decrease in visitor traffic here in Ennis. So I'm really concerned about that and trying to educate myself on what's going on there and how to best be an advocate for that. But I think that's something that we can't close our eyes to, because a significant number of visitors that travel through this valley do so because they extend their Yellowstone trip to go to Virginia City, and they stop here and get a burrito or whatever, and that's concerning, and I think we just need to keep an eye on that moving forward.
Yeah, I've been dealing with it all week. One of my best friends is one of the restaurants, so I deal with it every day. I know having a place over there and having a restaurant over there in the past, I wouldn't re-sign the lease. We would have made no money. At 15% of gross, we would have been out. So I think it's huge. I don't know how to help. They did meet with Ken Walsh this week and ask for an extension, maybe. That's kind of last in ditch effort because it happened so abruptly, but I don't know what.
Even the businesses, like our business, we own our own building. We're not included in that, but we are part of that because it's going to affect all of us.
The whole town will change.
Yes, and I agree.
And that's what I talked to Mayor Gatewood, and I've talked to a lot of people.
I
The
think
whole
we'll
town will
take
change.
Ennis too, so I do think it's something we all need to keep our eyes on.
Yeah.
So John, you're most familiar with like the hearings and stuff that happen pre-legislative session. So does the Department of Commerce, I guess it would be a question to pose to them, do they hold hearings for a new administrative rule, like, oh, we're canceling leases, or?
They have to hold a hearing for any administrative rule update
but this probably wasn't a rule change or a whatever.
And we can't even find their financials online now because they said they're losing to those. That's their
Yes.
answer,
correct.
was that they're losing, and I can't find their financials anywhere online, and other people have been looking for it. We can't find. It's frustrating. I don't have much more to add because I'm in limbo. I'm done tonight and I have to reapply as well.
All right.
Who's the person so is Ken Walsh
They-
that guy who's gonna make the decision? Why
No.
wouldn't we invite, or
He probably knows the most, but no, they just went to Ken for help.
Ken actually proposed, I believe, the 99-meter lease. I think that's where that started at.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 separate issues. Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to navigate any of it.
Who's the entity that's ultimately going to be, that's accountable for that decision being allowed to happen? And why don't we invite them to speak here?
Do you know the answer to that, Matt?
That's, sorry. If I may, thank you, commissioners. So Corey's question is the crux. Oh, sorry. Corey's question is the crux of the issue right now. The Department of Commerce executive or assistant director has appointed the legal counsel from the state of Montana as the acting director of the Heritage Commission and has gone about not only reforming these contracts, but also is on record as stating that these contracts are not between the concessionaires and the Heritage Commission, but they are between the Department of Commerce and the concessionaires, and the Department of Commerce holds authority in the negotiations. They have not responded to requests, very specific requests regarding which parts of the code they are using to justify that statement. They did tell the Heritage Commission, the commissioners at their meeting, that the Department of Commerce said that these contracts are not under your control. That's, I would hope, being contested. And so there's a very interesting situation where after the termination, alleged termination, I don't know that for sure. That's not, I've never gotten confirmation from the Department of Commerce, but after Cal Pool was relieved of that position, there was a closed session with the Montana Heritage Commission, and it's assumed that the commissioners then appointed the legal counsel for the state of Montana as the acting director of the Heritage Commission while they look for a new executive director. And all of this is happening in a very tight window before that new executive director is being hired. And so there are an awful lot of moving parts. I did sit in that meeting with Ken Walsh. The numbers in there were absurd. There's 8 businesses in Virginia City that have been told that they're going to receive 15% gross revenue contracts, and all of them saw that as at least a 5-time increase on their rent, and several of them, their rent was going from $10,000 a year to $71,000 a year in one situation. So, and so to take the other side of that issue, and this is where it gets really convoluted and weird and nobody knows any answers. But there are proposals being put on the table for 99-year leases. And there is concern in the community that these local contracts are being done to price out the local community and open up. The word that I've heard used that sounds appropriate within the Preservation Alliance meetings was theme park style, where one company comes in, takes over the whole enchilada. That's purely speculation, but there's a lot of things pointing that direction in the Department of Commerce, and certainly the governor's office have declined to comment on any of that. So the last request that I sent them was that I had given them questions, asking what I asked about the code. And they said that I gave them an unreasonable timeline to answer by giving them 24 hours, and they would answer when they're ready. They've, since then, or actually prior to that, had put one of the businesses on a 21-day, they canceled their contract, gave them 21 days to consider a new contract that would take their annual rent from $10,000 a year to $71,000.
That's what I was gonna say. They have a time frame of 28 or whatever.
So anyway, that's, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of conjecture, an awful lot of fear, and hopefully I gave you some facts that are useful there. Thank you.
That answered your question. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a lot for commissioner comments other than I've been trying to set up a meeting with Danny Bierschwald, myself, and whoever Department of Commerce is. Their name escapes me right now, but to talk about our recent designation as a non-tourist town, and I would hopefully we get a meeting happening like in January or something, and I would love for any and everyone to come and attend and be a part of that. Sounds like we might have some more questions for them as well. So, other than that, maybe I'll bring up tree board stuff. So I mentioned to Lisa today that since she is going to become mayor, that maybe she should step down from the tree board, and then we would have Hannah Powell, who is an urban forester and now lives in the town of Ennis, become a member of the tree board. So. You're fired.
That's it. All right. So still working on the pre-treatment compliance that is progressing. Eric, do you feel like that's progressing in a way that is? I haven't read through the results. So Wet Engineering is working for Willie's to become compliant with our pre-treat. They have made several attempts at changes and then tested afterwards to see what the change is. So we're trying to give them enough time to create a economically feasible plan for the business that also meets the town's pre-treatment requirements. And they've been amazing to work with all the way through. Matt at Willie's has been amazing to work with. It's been a really good experience. They're doing everything they can, and it's been a long road, and waiting for test results is clearly not my strong suit. So our last results were in, and I have no. So that's the first good news we've actually had on resolving that issue, and I'm super happy there. So that leads me to the next zoning compliance. I'm sorry I missed our last meeting, but there was discussion about a highway commercial property, and it was said there's nothing we can do about anything. So I've looked into that at the time. When we say there's things we can and cannot do, I encourage the commission to take a breath and say, maybe this is a discussion we come back to or look into, because highway commercial is permitted for certain uses. The use that it is currently being used for is a conditional use. I thought it was permitted for that as a regular, but that's only commercial industrial, but it is unconditional, but there hasn't been a conditional use permit put before, so they're being notified that they are not within zoning requirements. Thank you. So if you have those, give us a chance to look into them. Anything that involves, we try and keep ourselves as an even kilter so that there is no accusations or possible big E ethical E's, as Dan would call them, conflicts of interest in which anybody in any of our departments family benefits from permits being issued. Or Eric's not hooking up, if he had his daughter in town, isn't hooking up her sewer for free. Like, we always verify. So anything that comes before the town for permits from the 4050 has always been handled by our on-call planner. Any of those things, we've always separated that out so that there was no question as to Susie's integrity, and that should never have been in question or even brought up in the manner that it was. I thought that was not okay. If you have a question, it's okay to ask the zoning administrator, and she was not asked to look into that. She would have then immediately said, this is probably one that needs to be in your court, Mayor. Not a problem. But the question was posed to Brenna, who is not our zoning administrator, spends a ton of time in, yes, water and sewer town code, but not a lot of time in the zoning town code. So in the future, if you don't know the answer, take a second. It's good. We're going to pause. We're going to come back to you 15 days, 30 days. It's all good. All right. So following up with a lot of the questions for what the boards do, the Department of Commerce also held their policy and rule changes hearing and had their open period from November 5th through December 5th. Catch this. For future MSEP grants, the town would have to front the entirety of the grant and then get reimbursed. Thank you, I roll. You can't apply for this grant unless you are going to be at target rate at the end of it and that you can show financial need. So what kind of sense does it make to have a town or sewer district or water district front the money when there's most of these projects are expensive and have multiple moving pieces to them? So the end result will be that those grants, more than likely, you will take a loan out to front the money, and then you're basically losing some of your working funds towards interest. So that is one rule change that they have proposed.
Yeah, you said, is that coal endowment you said, or is that?
Montana Coal Endowment.
Coal endowment?
The second proposed change is that also before that reimbursement is made, that all DEQ paperwork is sent to them. My problem with this is one is a regulatory body and one is an administrative body. They are also sisters in the same basic place. You can ask your sister for the paperwork, but really the administrative body has no business in my mind saying, you're not getting this because you haven't given us the DEQ paperwork that we can walk across the hall and ask for. I spoke with Jennifer at the league. She was with the Department of Commerce for almost 20 years. She was aware of this. I didn't find this out until after December 5th when Colette sent us this. By the way, this could be in your contract. And we're like, whoa, wait, we're supposed to front money? When did this happen? Little panic moment. So I immediately called Kelly. She got me in contact with Jennifer. The league did catch a hold of it. Jennifer was actually the one that noticed the rule change. She notified Mako, all the key players. They put in on the hearing. So rule changes aren't in yet. They're in their process. Couldn't happen for 45 days. I'm letting you know this because very specifically, if for any reason Department of Commerce says to the town of Ennis, you got to front the bill, that wasn't in our application cycle. The new rule changes
Should be after it.
must be after it because we applied when the rules were this. You can't change the finish line now that we're already there. So that you are all aware, if that happens, same with the DEQ, the league really wants to know because they see this negatively affecting, especially like Harrison was one of the ones that was awarded MSEP. I don't see Harrison Sewer District like fronting a lot of money. What's probably going to happen there, and what we looked at, if we had to, we were in the unique position that maybe we could borrow from sewer and then pay it back so that we weren't paying a third party the interest, and we would pay the interest back to the sewer. But most places aren't going to have that, and it would have put sewer in a god awful tight spot. So that wasn't a good option either. So I think a lot of towns are going to have not good options if that policy goes through.
And that's in hearing now?
That is past hearing. Hearing closed is what I understood from November 5th to December 5th is what Jennifer told me. Last day was December 5th. So lesson learned again when those hearings are going on.
I know, did Colette know?
The engineering company did respond to it once notified because that was one of the key players and that was notified immediately that this is probably going to affect. I don't know how.
What did the small business impact statement say? You know?
I do not know. So on your radar, Okay. December 29th is our pre-construction meeting. You're all invited. Let me know if you're gonna be here so I can post that we're having a meeting. 10 to 11. Mayor-elect will be, I can send you the invite.
For that.
Correct. We'll also be in attendance. We will be doing our transition afterwards. So like the resolution to adopt the growth policy if you choose, those things are passed on to her, so it's not the important documents on the shelf for her to sift through. Recommended items for next year, as I'm not here, but should we choose to, if you choose to, these are the things that I would definitely do some serious focusing on. An updated interlocal with the county road planning board. It's very out of date. Cody graciously did the subdivision review. She's amazing. She's amazing to work with. She said, before you go looking at hiring out for writing subdivision regulations for the town, maybe an interlocal. And I talked to Commissioner Todd and he said, yes, it would just be billed at her rate. So I think the town would see significant savings with an updated interlocal before they tackled zoning and subdivision, and probably use Cody in tandem with Forest for some of those updates. So updated interlocal. Combine the planning and zoning boards officially in the documents when you do it. Mayor, I did not read this, and Mayor-elect until a couple days ago when some dispute over sewer charges came up. Eric can write off sewer charges, water sewer charges. He can approve write-offs of them. This is what our town code says. And then somewhere deep down in the dark, it says, if there's a disagreement between Eric and whoever the sewer user is, like I don't agree to those terms, the final decision is made by a 2-person board appointed by the mayor. So.
Can I just say this about that? So I just want this to be known when everybody hears about what's going on. This person has not reached out to me.
So if there's a dispute, that's the ultimate settlement process that we've never really enacted. So deep down in the code, it says 2 people appointed by the mayor. It doesn't say appointed by the mayor and approved by the commission. It says appointed by the mayor. However, we usually do appointments with approval of the commission, however you guys want to do it, but that's in there. The last thing is we went through as a rock star in 4 years, 3 of the 4 major, well, almost 4 of 5 major planning documents were adopted. Previous commission started master plan. Water PER is done, up to date, that makes you eligible. Wastewater PER is up to date and makes you eligible for grants. Now the growth policy. The last thing is capital improvement, and I don't know that you need to hire it out, but for the love of Pete, if you're going to try and plan on streets, sewers, everything, a capital improvement plan so that when you're working on a budget, you're like, I don't know. This one's from 2009. I think our priorities have changed a little bit as growth has hit. This is a good document to kind of guide you in that growth and that capital improvement. But it would be if you could accomplish that or make a chunk at it before budget so that it helps her in preparing the budget, that would probably be greatly appreciated. Last of it is, I guess, to everybody and anybody that's not online listening. Thank you for the time, for the opportunity to serve. I have met an insane variety of people that I never thought I would like, from lawyers to engineers to learning about more than I ever wanted to know about poop and chemistry of poop, turtles and their impact on lagoon systems. It has been a wild ride all the way through. And while I can't say that I enjoyed all of it, I am thoroughly looking forward to not being here in this chair. I have to say to the town of Ennis, thank you, but here's the problem. I love Ask Ennis as much as the next person. It's not a public forum. Facebook is not your public forum. I beseech you, I implore you, I use every fancy term of beg. Show up. Just because they were appointed, elected, whatever, does not make them mind readers. I know this may be a shock to you. They operate in a vacuum without your voice. You'll talk to the people around you because that's what you do in a busy life. So you don't get the full story. So Ennis, participate. Educated, informed, involved. They are not here to be just decision makers without any input. That is asking too much of any human being. So please, please participate. All right, thank you. That's all I had. Anything for unscheduled? Nothing you want on the next agenda? Okay.
Group to adjourn.
There it is.
Second. Eric, nice to see you.
I'm sorry.
You're not getting paid till the next time you guys meet.
I did, I tried calling them, so you.
Corey, I want to know if I'm going to Japan with everybody else.
With my family?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking about chaperoning.
I heard he's taking everybody. Oh,
What? I want to go if you're the best hot springs on the planet.
I just saw at the Christmas concert, I saw that there was a poster about Japan. It was, you know, like
I don't know, my brother and sister-in-law, their kids are going.
There's a poster up in the down by the big statue of the horses when you go into the just to the right side. So if you were facing the horse, like going out of such a land, it's
I have no idea.
So I wonder if that's some of their trips, or if it's gonna be like a thing protocols.
I'm curious. Yeah, I don't know, that's the first time I've heard of it. Yeah, no, I tried that.
I don't know, usually I ask Brenna. Yeah, I don't know. So close.
Yeah, it's all good.
I thought about something.
I've been pushing bills, some of our other bills. Hurry up, we have to pass this done as that. But you know what? I honestly don't care. Tonight is not. Right?
Just.
Not a problem at all. So our, we're working. And we're fixing all the drywall. They're. We're the applicant. So we're in there fixing. Which is like. It's just a house. But.
That's what I was sitting here thinking, I'm like,
Probably better than.
they give me a door.
I'm kind of surprised that.
You're here, still here?
Yeah. Yeah, it was all, I think it was all like. They didn't really spell it out. Ultimately, you probably just. There's some sort of waterproof. I wouldn't. And then well, you realize we're speaking to. At least yeah. Just shoot me what you need. Oh yeah, dude. I hung out at a client's house. They told me, yeah, go generator up. So I can go in. I was hacking up the lung for the restricted. That was just like, even the lung. Oh. No, but the solutions in there are working on the well house down there. Like the public works guy. He's an older gentleman. He's been around for like, but he was definitely like, this needs to be better. This whole place needs to be skimmed out. It's gonna look good for what it is. You know, it's literally got like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever hung out with you well. They did not. Said, okay, give us the lease, and then we're like, oh, the guy was what, all stuff, and I said it was. You got it, the government. Should have it all. But it is kind of weird. We're in there as a fire rating. Still with 1 hour of fire. Yeah. And that's a lot. Yeah, we're gonna figure it out like, no. I mean, we, you know, government, just position, get my first position party. Now would be the time when everything is, you know, the way that she's schooled. We'll have digging into walls. This is why I moved to everything. Are you just gonna, what are you gonna do with that? Well, it's getting still down. Oh, you're starting. No, it's slack. In the insulation, but it's getting. I don't want me or my guys doing it. Somebody gets. I don't know. No reason for it. Like the guy just slow watching the guy, there's a guy driving. Never do that. Wasn't as bad. You probably did find a lot. I never took it from in there. Let's tile on the side here and no, I trust me. I think that job down there. I was there by myself for a little while. They're like, you can have all these things done. So I'm serious. Yeah. Now they don't even have an inch of snow on it. So it's like, there is no real. Well, now. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big area. All the candidates. There's three restaurants open right now. And I was blown away by the number of it's a fun town. I wouldn't want to live there, but it's a fun town. Yeah, that's the street that they closed down and bring in. Yeah, I'm so curious. Honestly, I'm sad. Make a difference here. He doesn't need the extra money. That's all I got. You know. There's always something. It's like, beneficial. I would have no problem with something like that. I definitely don't like the way I'll take one. May not be the worst step. Make a wish their community, so they have a community. This, like, let me put it, like all kinds of classes get included in it. It's pretty, we did a tour. I thought about it here. Like, I'm not sure. I mean, that was the skateboard thing, I don't do it. Good. Don't you remember the first conversation? We were talking about.
So loud. And I laughed, and I said, what are you doing? And they're like, oh. He's really good. Yeah, he every time he gets for an hour.
Well,
You know what the best thing has been is sobriety. So now the thing is, 2.5 years in your hair. How are you? I'm not spelling more. I'm embarrassed when you're like,
he's for a day, he was finishing up whatever he was doing, his last day.
I know, that is the one thing I got. You can be sued. You can be sued. You're responsible for that.
Which is the problem.
Yeah.
So they're based property tax. Get more, we're gonna have to broaden the range.
So then 15%.
Yeah,
And what you're having.
maybe. I'm in the club I work with.
Oh, well, okay. I thought you were talking about.
We use a bunch of. Yeah, we have one. We've been out there for 2 years. But yeah, we've had it for 6 years.
And there's a lot of.
They got older and there was no parents. That's why I asked, it's not going to be no, because I'm like, but if there's some. I mean, that doesn't matter, but.
It's my way. Right, and then I was invited to class. It's not. Except for a couple. I didn't know who it was.
They don't get right there. She's awesome, so if walking by walking chips. Yeah, so no, that is. Sure. There was one time I thought I spoke to the next
That's